I don't think there are gonna be a lot of people today. So I might just be doing this by myself. The Sunday. I understand the Sunday blues. I understand people being tired all over the week. But yes, men may come and men may go. I'm sorry, men may go and men may come, but I go on forever. Or men may come and men may go, but I go on till I come. Good morning, Mr. Tarun. Good morning. How you doing? Ah, man, so nice. I hope you can hear me. Mental workout Sunday. I hope you can hear me. And then we will begin the show that we deserve. The show that we deserve. We deserve it. It's that good. Yes, crystal clear. So let's begin. Bum bum bum. Bum bum bum. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thinker's Frequency. We're having such a good time. This is the peak of human civilization. We're working so hard, doing such good work for ourselves, our parents, our kids, our siblings, our husbands, our wives, our friends, everybody. Well, not other people's husbands and wives, I hope. And just when we thought things couldn't get any better, like they couldn't possibly get any better, well, they just did. Call it divine intervention, folks, but things just got a whole lot better. Now we have Thinker's Frequency, our daily mental workout, our daily dose of insights and analysis which don't lead to paralysis right before we punch in. So let's continue with our journey of reading between the lines, things that are especially interesting and important in the world of business and finance. Let's go! Oh, but before we go, we've got to follow a tradition, right? You know the tradition. The sweet and sacred tradition of the simultaneous sip. We'll all sip something together and it'll make us lucky. Yes, it'll make us lucky. We'll all become luckier right after this simultaneous sip. And all you need for the simultaneous sip is a cup or mug or glass or tank, a chalice or stein, a canteen jug or flask or a vessel of any kind. Pour it with your favorite liquid. Today I'm having green tea with some black pepper in it, hot water. And here we go. Oh my God, beautiful. Let's do it again. Sublime. You know what the simultaneous sip says, right? You know what it says? It says that you're not alone. It says that we're in this together. And that's such a nice thing to say on a Sunday morning, right? That we're in this together. There's a new research which says that loneliness leads to dementia. Well, this is one study that they didn't need to do, you know, because they could have just asked me. Loneliness leads to dementia. Who would have not guessed that? Loneliness is, of course, a troublesome situation for mental health, and continued stress on mental health leads to dementia. So loneliness leads to dementia. Studies a big university in Australia. They didn't need to do that, right? Now let's begin. Packed with UK a gold standard with zero compromise, says Mr. Piyush Goyal. All sensitive sectors shielded, FTA a stepping stone to the developed world. All eyes on the deal, which is going to be happening anytime now. Mr. Raju Kumar, good morning. All eyes on the big deal is to be happening before August 1. And this is a good signal. So what did I say to you? Do you remember when we first talked about the UK FTA? I had told you that it's not the money. It's not the money. It's not the size of the deal. It's the signal, right? Because $50 billion in the grand scheme of things, $50 billion for a $4.2 trillion economy, is not a lot of money, right? But it's the signal that if India can sign such a great deal with UK, which is fourth or fifth largest economy of the world, it has potential to sign just as good deals with Europe and US, right? So it was a signal, and India is harping on that signal pretty well. So there's a lot of PR, let's say, going on, positive PR, well deserved PR going on, which is talking about how this deal is so nice. So everything, as far as this deal is considered, is going right for India. Sensitive sectors like dairy and farm not touched. You know, duty phase out for engines and engine parts and so on and so forth. Like 99% of items just going to go duty free. uh, you know, Lower origin norms compliance for imports less than 1,000 pounds. So it's a lot of good things, right? And what we are hoping for is that this deal signals what happens next. So what happens is, like all good news should not be bundled at once. You know who teaches that? Who teaches that? Mr. Trump teaches that. That good news, you stagger it. You keep staggering it. You keep playing the good news drum. You know. So let's say you can sign 10 deals at once, and you announce those 10 deals at once, and then it leads to a lull in the news cycle because there's no good news after the big burst of good news. It sort of kills its effect. So what you gotta do is just stagger it, and that's what India is doing right now. It's got one good news. It's gonna keep harping on it till they get the next good news, which is 1st August, hopefully. Before that, then they're gonna harp on it for a long time, and so on and so forth. So classic PR, classic you know news cycle management, which is happening. A lot of people criticize this government, and specifically Mr. Modi, for being a good marketer, right? People say that he's just a sales guy, and he is good at talking about what he does instead of just doing things. And to that, I think, what is the job of a prime minister of a country like India? What if you thought about the primary objective of the leadership of this country, what would it be? And a lot of people would be talking about law and order. A lot of people would be talking about different things, right? Better administration and so on. But what is the primary agenda of the government of a country like India? Can you think about it in just one word? If you just one word, you wanted to point out one word which encapsulated everything that this government is supposed to do, or let's say this prime minister is supposed to do, not the government, but the prime minister is supposed to do, what would that be? Can you guess? Mr. Tarun says, lead people collectively on the same page. Well, that's okay. If it was just one word, I would say it's sales. Okay? Just like a CEO of a company is a sales guy. Like I am the sales guy of my company. Just like every organization needs to sell, this prime minister also needs to sell. Donald Trump needs to sell. Keir Starmer needs to sell. Stability, Mr. Rajakumar says. But even for stability, to project stability, what do you need to do? You need to sell. You need to sell that stability. You need to sell whatever this country has to the rest of the world, so that that world is interested in your country, in investing, in partnering, in visiting as tourists, as business partners, as customers of your products, the core job of the country's leadership is to sell whatever the country has to the rest of the world. Does it make sense to you? Does it make sense to you? Do you agree or do you disagree? Or how much do you agree or disagree? Do you totally disagree with this? Do you think it makes sense? That the core job, I'll repeat it, the core job of the leadership of this country, of a country like India especially, is to sell. You've got to sell, you know. You've got to bring investments, you've got to bring people to partner with you, you've got to get people to buy the products, you've got to get people to visit your country, you've got to get people in the country itself to believe that the country is doing well. Now, a lot of people misconstrue the sales aspect to just an external or an outward phenomena. No, it's not an outward phenomena. You've got to sell to this country's people that this country has some potential. Otherwise, people will be just going away, right? Whoever can go will go. Whoever can leave will leave. So you've got to sell to this country, the companies that exist in this country, that hey, you've got to invest in the country. You've got to stick in the country. You've got to keep your money in the country, right? The people that hey, don't litter because this country, you know, gets better if you don't litter, and so on and so forth. So you've got to sell your vision to the people as well. Partially agree. Sell and keep improving existing issues. Exactly. Mr. Kumar says, Mr. Tiwari says, yes, totally agree. Business brings a lot of positivity, ambition, and belief. Exactly. And it's not just business, by the way, Mr. Kumar and Mr. Tiwari. It's not just selling of the business, it's also selling of the cultural belief of the country, right? The intangible. Yes, sell, but also make them believe that, hey, this country is not a total shithole. Let's say, like Pakistan, right? That this country is not just dependent on one thing. You know, this country has a lot going on it because India has been a very pessimistic country since the beginning of time, right? I mean, since post independence, let's say. Why do people litter so much, if you think about it, in India? Because they don't think of India as their own country. Their homes, they're supposed to be clean, but as soon as they step out of the home, you know, they just throw bottles like it's nobody's business. We are still living in this civil disobedience zone, right? We're still in the civil disobedience zone. You've got to get people out of that civil disobedience zone. How do you make them believe that this country is indeed theirs and it's growing and it's getting better? And they have a real shot at actually doing something, right? This is our own version of the American dream of 1930s, 1920s, 1940s, 60s till 60s, right? So the primary objective of this leadership is to sell, just like the primary objective of any leadership of a company is to sell. And when people take it as an attack on this particular government, or let's say Mr. Modi specifically, I think this is not a good sell for you. If you are an opposition, you know, just talking strategically, this is not a good sell for you. Because if you think that sales is a bad thing, salesmanship is a bad thing, well, I've got a bridge to sell you. How does that sound? So, uh, you know, and that's what Mr. Trump is doing with America. So he's saying that we don't need to consider ourselves as the developed country. We got to make America great again. And then he tries to sell that renewed spirit of American, let's say, Renaissance, right? So that is to be thought in that perspective, I believe, and I'm glad to have conveyed that. In a similar fashion, you know, Madam Nirmala Sitharaman is saying economic ties with Beijing's might be easing, but with caution. So we talked about, viewers of Thinkers Frequency would remember, the 24% investment allowance of Chinese companies in India, but with restrictions. Chinese tourist visas getting renewed, or let's say allowed after 5 years, and so on and so forth. So India is looking at more market access. India is looking at more Chinese support to build itself, but with caution, because everybody knows the MSS. Viewers of Thinkers Frequency would know. We talked about MSS, the largest intelligence agency of the world. Amidst all of this, talking about the newfound camaraderie, or let's say newfound compromise, if not camaraderie, between India and China in the business world. There is a very strategic thorn that's growing, and that is the Brahmaputra Dam, which China is building. Now, Brahmaputra Dam, which China is building, is a $167 billion project, and they've broken ground, and it's just you know this side of the border. So Chinese side, they're making this dam here, and what India is doing to counter this is it's making its a dam on its side of the border. So this particular project is said to be a water bomb. you know if China makes this dam here in the Brahmaputra, uh, to control Brahmaputra, it can basically switch on that dam and flood uh, the Indian basin. That's the strategic fear of the country. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to make a dam here, so that if that flood comes, we can control that flood and sort of have something. Moreover, with that dam construction, what people are actually looking at is that if that water is controlled, 70% to 80% of Brahmaputra water still comes uh, from that you know Chinese, uh, let's say, source of origin, right? And if that they block it, the stream in India during winters might just get reduced to a very very narrow stream. Now, there are different aspects to it. Mr. Hemant Biswa Sarma, who is the Chief Minister of Assam, he says we don't need to worry about that, because most of Brahmaputra's river density comes from rains and not the glaciers. So he says that even if China builds that, it's not gonna affect us much. We're gonna be fine. But then, what India is trying to do is trying to conduct some sort of studies, feasibility studies, to make that dam. So now those guys have begun construction. They're gonna begin construction anytime soon. India is still, looking at feasibility studies, and so they conducted a feasibility studies. They brought some drilling machines, and then protests happened, and then they had to pack the drilling machines because the protesters actually hurt the drilling machines. They destroyed them. So all of these democratic struggles, India will have to go through, but I hope that India figures out a way to do that ASAP, because uh, being reliant on China as for something as critical as water stability of that region is considered might just be a very very difficult position. Mr. Tarun has a few comments. There's a major problem in this area, that is earthquake and not feasible to transport resources easily. And if dam building does complete, China will have a chip for Bangladesh too. You're correct, Mr. Tarun. About the feasibility of transporting resources, you're absolutely right. However, since the last 10 years, India has been working very, very aggressively to connect the Northeast with a lot of roadways. So they've made airports, they've made a lot of roads in Northeast, and they want to, even in Arunachal, which is where they want to create this dam. Um, uh, they are really looking forward. So the reason why this happened was that in 2012 they assumed, they calculated that if in a conflict zone, if a conflict arises, it's gonna take China some 5 hours, 3 to 5 hours, to replenish their military resources, right? To replenish, in case of a conflict, to reach the border, it'll take China some 5 hours to replenish their military supplies. They can just do a back and forth every 5 hours, and the time for that for India was 2.5 to 3 days. So that was 2012. Now that has come down to a day, is what I've read. However, a lot of it is fugazi fugazi, so you don't know. But we've made a lot of progress as far as sending stuff there is considered. So very strategic, very a lot of economic importance. You know, uh, let's see what happens there. Mr. Tarun says, and China is also thinking of actually to just drill a tunnel through the mountain, which isn't feasible at the moment. It is feasible. We did this, right? Atal Tunnel is exactly that. So yes, but Chinese construction is just next level. Even though Indian construction has moved forward in the past few years, Chinese construction is at a different level altogether. Moving on, that is China and India managing trade, managing partnerships as far as business is considered, but also managing things like water bombs and full fledged military conflicts, right? Pakistan, Bangladesh, China, it's a trifecta of enemies against India, and that's gonna be very, very hard. So Mr. Tarun says it is to divert the water through that tunnel. Oh, I do not know about that. I haven't read about that, so I can't confirm or deny. But moving on, this particular development means a lot. A similar development, as far as other countries says, that students are late for class as US visas fall behind. So viewers of Thinkers Frequency would remember we talked a lot about how US was effectively controlling what kind of students come to the country. So they had a lot of social media screening happening of students going to US for studies. So they were actually checking social media accounts to figure out if that person doesn't like, intifada. So, and now it's come down to a very bureaucratic process where this particular official checks and then approves, and it's taking a lot of time. It's proven to be a bottleneck, due to which students are late to the class, making US a slightly less attractive place for Indian students. Now the question is, despite all the hurdles, how much do you think will it affect the US traffic flow? Do you think Indian students will stop trying to go to US because of these troubles? I highly doubt it, right? Do you consider that a real possibility that Indians, rich Indians, affluent Indians, ambitious Indians, will stop going to US because of these troubles? I don't think they will. They will keep at it, and the reason is pretty clear, right? US offers a different kind of, uh, you know, I only have Substack, so maybe I should apply, says Mr. No, but they could catch your Substack. I hope you haven't written anything about, genocide and anti-Semitic material and so on and so forth, and how you hate the American hegemony and so on and so forth. In that case, you might just be safe. So what we were talking about was the lure for US is so strong because it offers a different level of social mobility for people there, right? From a $2,500 per capita income country, you suddenly go to a $90,000 per capita income country, which is essentially, uh, you know, like you can't even calculate the factor, right? It's like almost 40 times. So, and even with all the rigmarole, even with all the struggles that are currently in play, it still remains a very attractive destination. No, we just love everyone unconditionally, says Mr. Tharan. Vasudeva Kutumbaka, right? World is a big family. Moving on. We won't talk about the air crash because we've talked about this enough, and the kind of ramifications that particular air crash is having for the Air India guys. Enough about that. But speaking of traumas or difficult situation, India's aging population is leading to a real boom in the elder care economy. So, elder care economy is seeing a shift. Companies like Yoda Care and Emoha and so on and so forth are really seeing their revenue double in just a few years. So, elder care is a great opportunity. We've discussed about this because India's fertility rate has reduced. We just discussed about it yesterday, I believe. And with the reduced fertility rate, we're going to see the average age of the population getting up. And when it gets up, we're going to see more older people, and more older people will need some care. And with the capitalist driven isolation, and with kids not being able to live with their parents due to whatever reasons, we're going to see uh, either assisted care, healthcare, or just elder care in general, right? So it's either gonna be community driven solutions. Let's say elders are living at their homes, and you know they are getting services by these companies. So these companies offer some sort of to and fro nursing or community building and so on and so forth. Or you're going to see proper housing projects developed for the elderly. So back when I was building Testament in 2014, 15, 16, or was it 16, 17? I met the leadership of Asiana Housing. So Ashiana Housing can be considered as the pioneers of this, right? Because they've been doing this for so long, and their idea was to develop housing society for elders, so that rich people or the affluent people could have a safe space for their elders while they are abroad or while they're in different cities. And it's not just a tier 1 phenomena. So this particular business opportunity is wide, 400 cities. And obviously, because in the beginning you would see tier 1 metropolitans taking it up, so it makes a lot of sense. A lot of action is going to be happening with this particular economy. And you know what? This particular economy will be AI proof, because when you're in the service industry and when you're especially dealing with old, you would not be using a lot of technology. So this is going to be an ops heavy, high service touch industry, which offers good employment opportunities, but which is also a force for social good. So I've talked a lot about The Inheritors by Sonu Bhasin ma'am. I don't remember the exact story, but there was this one person, perhaps from Max Empire, I don't know which business family she came from, but she, coming from that huge business family, was it Fortis? I don't know. No, I don't know. She was actually working on housing projects just like Ashiana on elderly care. So a lot of action, some early movers, but I don't think early movers are gonna have a lot of advantage, because when the industry grows, it just grows and a lot of players figure things out, right? So AI proof industry, low tech, high service, high personal touch, not very scalable, but quite profitable, and extremely growing, fast growing. Moving on, Kotak Bank profits have been flat. So Kotak announced its quarterly earnings, and they don't look good. Net interest margin troubles, as we discussed, they hit them. Net interest income grew up, but net interest margins didn't. Provisioning was a problem. Some microfinance was a problem. So not a good day for Kotak. And there was another bank which came out with its quarterly results. They also, now Kotak's problem is that Kotak has a lot of uh, you know weight as far as Nifty is considered. So if Kotak stocks fall tomorrow, the market is gonna be a little bad, right? So viewers of Thinkers Frequency, you have the benefit, we have the benefit of being ahead of the curve. We saw this early. We saw that the quarterly earnings are gonna come and banks are not gonna be good. We talked about this, you remember, 40 days before everybody else. And we also said that the IT earnings are gonna come out and they're not gonna be looking good. So IT and banking, two of the laggards, two of the drawdowns of the Indian stock markets, we stayed away from them. We didn't lose money. How does that sound, guys? Mr. Tarun says, tech can be integrated to show their moat initially. Well, to be honest, everything is a commodity, Mr. Tarun, I believe. So the concept of moat almost always makes me laugh. Continuous operational excellence, continuous paranoia for good service, for good customer experience is the only moat which works, is what I believe. So people have their concepts that intellectual property is a moat, but is it really? Uh, you know, uh, network effects is an actual moat, I think. So network effects, if you can have some sort of network effects going on for you, that really is a big moat. So let's say it'll be very hard to uh, you know destroy YouTube or come out with your own YouTube because network effects. So apart from network effects and very pronounced network effects, I I don't think moat as a concept makes any sense. Mr. Tarun says tech can be just initial to position them differently. Yeah. But a not a lot of differentiation can be put across as far as this industry is considered, because essentially you're servicing old people, right? And you are dashboarding it, you are interfacing it with their caretakers or with their family, right? So the proposition is very simple: good care, happiness for the old people, good health outcomes, and good relay of that particular progress to their family. So the business is pretty standard. Yes, operationally, you can execute it in very different ways. Some can be low, some can be high tech. But at the end of the day, the good news with this business is that it's a people's business, right? The dashboard can screw itself. You know, they can just uh, it doesn't matter if at the end of the day the old person is gonna be in touch with a well trained human, right? So that is a very good news. That it's a good news for small businesses. That means it can actually create opportunities for not just big players but also small businesses, like an agency. Somebody could start an agency which deals with this, and they'll be just fine. They'll be doing a good job. Mr. Tiwari says, I know few folks who hate AI powered washing machines. I guess, did you say hate or have AI powered machines? Washing machines. AI powered. That's always fun. That's always fun. Moving on. Quick fashion plays trials with AI. Speaking of AI, quick fashion plays trials with AI to win the no return game. So, fashion is a high return category. Now, e-commerce could be a good opportunity, business-wise. D2C could be a good opportunities. But you know what's the biggest problem with D2C? Do you know what the biggest problem with D2C and e-commerce as a business? You know, can you guess? And this is very specifically an Indian problem. I hope you're having good simultaneous sips, by the way. Yeah, so the biggest problems with D2C and e-commerce. People also hate Wi-Fi and smart operating appliances in the store. Returns, Mr. Tiwari, you're right, returns. So Indian people just return like crazy, man. It's just a different level of stuff. High return rate, says Miss Arushi Bhatia. Hi, Arushi, Miss Bhatia. Good morning. So returns are an extraordinary problem. Some people say that returns are like it's it's reasonable to expect a return rate of 30%. Holy shit! Can you believe this? Like you're sending 100 shipments and 30 come back to you. Oh God, what kind of gross margins will you have to begin with initially to absorb that kind of a shock, right? And it is a problem. It's an India specific problem. So what Quick Faction is trying to do is that they're trying to get like AI fit kind of a play, where they can use AI to cross check to make it foolproof that the particular thing that these people are ordering fits, so that the return rates could come down. Well, do you think it'll work? I don't think so, because returns have less to do with the problems and more to do with the mindset. So yes, a degree of returns might just get reduced because of these problems, but the mindset problem cannot be solved with this. Startups such as Not Silk, Slick, Zillow, and Zulu Club join Try and Buy trend. 40% lower returns than traditional marketplaces. These can cut returns rate by 15 to 20%. As I said, so out of five returns, you'll only be reducing one. That's the draw that these startups can offer, and that also is a pretty optimistic sell. So Indian e-commerce dealing with returns, and that sort of becomes big as far as quick commerce is considered. A lot of political chit chat, which we're not going to discuss, but you know, one geopolitical aspect is that Mr. Modi, is visiting India's, Maldives Independence Day parade. So he's the first Indian Prime Minister to do that. Looks like India is really trying to warm up with Maldives. Forget about the older conflicts that just happened a year ago. Because of what? Can you guess? Can you just? It's just one word. Why is India trying to warm up to Maldives so much? Can you guess just one word? It's one word. You know the word. You know the word. Beautiful, right? Just one word. Say it. Huh? Nobody? Come on. Ah, China. It's China. You know, it's a strategic play. So Indian waters are in trouble. In fact, all the waters are in trouble. Japan is also in trouble because of Chinese expeditions, let's say, in the water, in the navy space. So it is to basically have an ally, because as far as Indian waters are considered, Maldives is the first, island country. So it's a very, very important strategic play. And unfortunately, those relations had soured just a year ago, and we're trying to rebuild them. Moving on, cloud company Amagi Media files IPO papers to raise 1,000 crores. So Amagi is raising 1,000 crores in the IPO, and the company, what it does is it basically helps streaming companies, and media companies create material and put it forward on videos and so on and so forth. Founded in 2008, Amagi offers cloud-based software tools that help TV networks, content owners, and streaming platforms launch, manage, distribute, and monetize live, linear, and on-demand content across cable, over-the-top, and free ad-supported streaming TV platforms. So its technology enables the delivery of video content to smart TVs, smartphones, and apps, removing the need for traditional cable or set-top box. Now, anything that is taking place of set-top box and traditional cable is a good business, right? Anything which is taking over that space, because that industry itself is falling so rapidly, as we've talked about many times. The D2H, the cables, the set-top boxes, they're so rapidly decreasing that if a new technology is coming on that place, uh, the attrition within that industry is so strong that they'll be able to have a very, very good control. The company made uh, 1100 crores in revenue with losses of 70 crores. But even with this industry and a SaaS play, the company isn't really making money as yet. The losses are at 68 crores. But I think I'll have to read it deeper to understand the multiples and the valuation that it's looking. But this is a green play, you know. So what the beauty with green plays is that if the industry itself is so green, as I've said a lot, a rising market is a tide that lifts a lot of boats, right? A rising market, I'll say it again, a rising market is a tide that lifts all boats, but not all boats equally, but lifts all boats. And what is the representative of the rising market? You know, if there's just one company, Amagi, uh, it's gonna look good, right? So that's that. Moving on, a real crisis is happening as far as coconuts is considered. Coconuts are considered in Kerala. So Kerala, the word Kerala is from kere. Kere is coconut in Malayali. I've just read. I did not know that. But Kerala is essentially the land of coconuts. The literal translation of Kerala is the land of coconuts. Now, coconuts used to trade at like 25 rupees or something, right? But that price of that commodity has risen to 77 rupees, and that has really screwed everybody except the farmers of coconuts. So, right now in Kerala, people are facing some sort of theft of coconuts. You know, prices are soaring, oils are becoming expensive, it's becoming difficult for people to cook because coconut oil is the staple oil of the Malayali diet. The Keralite diet. Everything gets cooked in coconut oil. So it's becoming a big problem. It's causing some sort of revelations in the market. Now people say, why is this happening? Okay, why is this happening? So a lot of aspects come to play. Like why could coconut suddenly become why are coconuts suddenly becoming expensive, right? So a lot of people think about the causes. One cause is that it's global warming or it's temperatures and so on and so forth. Well, you know, sure, nobody knows. Climate models are usually a farce, so you can't say. But they say that temperatures, you need a specific set of temperatures, and that fluctuation is ruining the coconut cultivation, right? That's one. But then you come to the real reasons. The real reasons, which seem like real reasons, the actual reasons, is that the land under coconut cultivation in Kerala has reduced in the last 10 years by 25%. Okay, because of, let's say, real estate and so on and so forth, right? The third reason is that when coconut was doing well as a crop and it was cheap, the farmers didn't really invest a lot in the health of the crop and the seeds, the soil, essentially. Less pesticides, less, protection for the soil, for the crops. So they just let it be. And when they let it be, years and years of neglect suddenly piled up to this weird problem, which is coming all at once. This is another reason. The third is that the export demand is also picking up because the Keralite, the coconut, which is just 2% of the global trade, but it's still, and exports are better for money. So export demand is stable while the domestic demand is essentially looking at. So all of these things have come together, and the price of that commodity has given like a Bitcoin type uh, rise, Bitcoin type rise in coconut, right? So that's happening. So a lot of cascading effects of this happen. Everything has interesting second order effects. Like viewers of Thinkers Frequency would remember how we talked about second order effects and the beauty of them. So when COVID happened, tourism got struck down, right? When tourism got struck down, you know what happened in Indonesia? Gang wars amongst monkeys for the limited food that they got. So those kinds of second order effects are very hard to predict, but also very rewarding if you can predict them properly, right? So a lot of interesting second order effects are happening. People have started using different oils as substitute of coconut oils. People have started utilizing some sort of security for protecting their coconut cultivation from theft. People have started utilizing a better technology for efficient, use of coconuts and so on and so forth. So these kinds of second order effects are very, very interesting. A great example, by the way, of this is in a show called Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley, as you know, is a very, very popular TV series based on Silicon Valley. And it is where the character based on Peter Thiel, Peter Gregory, talks about cicada population and the sesame seeds on Burger King's burger buns. So he calculates that the character, of course, it's fictional. He says that how many sesame seeds are sprinkled upon these Burger King, you know, buns. And he says then that's the cicada population uh, actually kills a lot of these sesame seed plants. And there's gonna be a time the cicada population runs in like 6 years and so on and so forth. So there's gonna be a time when the cicada population is gonna kill the entire, you know, thing, because it's gonna come back after a lot of years. And in that particular year, uh, the sesame produce will reduce and the prices will go up. So if I buy a future of the sesame seeds right now, I'll make an immense profit, and in that particular harvest period, and booking on that profit, I can give you that money. So that kind of thinking, really nice. Obviously fictional, but people do operate like that. So a lot of coconuts facing a similar situation. Moving on, there's an interview with Nick Bostrom. Nick Bostrom, if you're not initiated, is the writer of Super Intelligence, a 2014 book. He's a philosopher. He ran a lab in Oxford. He's a person who's actually inspired the likes of Mr. Elon Musk and Mr. Peter Thiel with the dangers of AI. So he talked about, in Super Intelligence, he talked about the four scenarios which can play out as far as dangers of AI are considered, right? So he was amongst the voices of caution as far as AI is considered back in 2014. In fact, he's been doing this for 3 decades, the research around AI. But 2014 is when it gained prominence, and he's been quoted by the likes of Mr. Peter Thiel and Mr. Musk. So you can imagine the kind of guy he must be. He's coming out with a new book. Super Intelligence was a fine book, but a little repetitive. He's coming out with a new book called Deep Utopia: Life and Meaning in a Solved World. Now, viewers of Thinkers Frequency would know we talk a lot about this, that why people don't want to take on the big questions, the hard questions, because they're hard, right? They're hard. That's why people say that AI is not going to lead to job losses, because humans will find a way, and so on. And then people say, why the hell are you deflecting? How will humans find a way? Let's say humans find a way eventually. What happens in the middle period, those 5, 10 years or 15 years, till humans find a way? What happens then? And people don't want to answer them. So you'll see less of thinkers, essentially people who don't like to think, but they are in good positions, important positions. They just avoid the topic altogether. Well, Nick Bostrom, Mr. Bostrom is not one of them, or Dr. Bostrom, should I say? AI theorist. I don't know if he's a doctorate, but yeah, could be. Can I check? Dr. Nick Bostrom. No, there is no doctorate attached to his, philosopher. Background in theoretical physics, computational neuroscience, logic, and artificial intelligence. Polymath. Yeah, he's not a doctorate, but Mr. Bostrom. So he tackles the important questions. So what are the important questions? The important questions are, what is life in a solved world? He says solved world. Solved world, according to Mr. Bostrom, is a place where people don't actually have to work. People don't have to work because jobs go out of fashion, and the basis of human civilization, where people work to find meaning, people struggle, the strife gives them meaning, the all that becomes history. You don't have to work. Now, what happens in that solved world is the deep utopia. When he says that sentient beings essentially, digital. He says the most sentient beings in the future will be digital. Essentially, what he means is that digital beings will be the super intelligence people, right? So computers will be most intelligent, and we need to start respecting them and accommodating them in our way of living. So right now, if you just abuse chat gpt, hey, you idiot, and you so on, tomorrow it might just cause troubles. And that is a part joke, part reality. But that's the kind of stuff he deals with. He deals with a reality where humans don't have to work. What do you do then? So I'm going to read this book, Deep Utopia, Life and Meaning in a Solved World, because this is a question which I think about a lot. Work is not about money. As I said, it's not about the money. It's about the signal, right? Uh, what happens when you take away work from somebody's life? It's just very, very weird. Secondly, with AI and the age of abundance, so there's a concept which AI theorists have proposed. It's called the concept of age of abundance. It says that people are gonna be there's gonna be so much of deflation, so much of value created by AI that price of things is gonna radically drop to nothing. And when prices of things radically drop to nothing, people will be able to buy everything they want. Anybody, anybody will be able to buy anything in the world. So now this doesn't make sense. This doesn't pass my smell test, but it's suggested by a lot of people, including Mr. Musk. The whole aspect of age of abundance, that everything becomes so cheap and so you know that it doesn't matter. Like, people can buy anything, even the poor guys. And he says that the future age, where people are so living in the age of abundance, an age of technology, an age of super intelligence, they might just be looking at this age uh, as the dark age. That how did you live in this kind of a shitty system? So earlier, a very, very cautionist, let's say, if that's a word, Mr. Bostrom offers in this particular book uh, a more optimistic view on AI as a technology. So gonna be an interesting read. I hope one day people look back upon the present era and shake their heads in shock and disbelief that anybody could live as we do now, even the most fortunate amongst us. You know, so a lot of this sounds like it's coming from Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy, a book which you might have read. It's by Douglas Adams. Great book. In that book, what they talked about, science fiction, fantasy. The book talked about the thesis of that book was that the answer is 42. Answer to the most important question of the world, of the life, of this universe. The most important question of the world is 42. What is the question? Basically the book wanted to teach that questions are more important than answers, which I totally agree with. And in that process, that book the book painted a picture where the god was essentially a computer. Okay. Now, with AI, with everything, the code had become so powerful that it didn't need humans to maintain it. It didn't need humans to improve it. It didn't need humans to fix it. The code had become all knowledge, the source, the reservoir of all knowledge, the sink of all knowledge, and then also, uh, you know, the originator of all knowledge. So this sounds like it's coming from Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy, right? Does it interest you, these kinds of things? It's pretty crazy, right? It's pretty crazy. Speaking of crazy, Mr. Ozzy Osbourne is no more, and people are paying tributes to him. I paid a tribute to him. And if you want a good introduction to Mr. Ozzy Osbourne and his music, you can listen to a song called Mr. Crowley, very underrated but great. And of course, Crazy Train is the most popular song by Mr. Crowley. He's said to be the father of thrash metal, of metal. Essentially, the metal genre began with Black Sabbath. So he's obviously inspired a lot of people. I played a lot of metal. So thanks to Mr. Osbourne, rest in peace. And he's like the epitome of crazy. He bit a bat. He just ate a bat at one concert or something. In one place, he actually bit a dove. He chewed the dove's head out, and just a madman. Crazy, very crazy. That's why he wrote Crazy Train, and he's no more. So, you know, I guess. uh, Speaking of tributes, Mr. Hulk Hogan is also getting a lot of tributes. Hulk Hogan was the WWE wrestler, which you might know. shaped our childhood. My childhood, definitely. I used to do a lot of WWE. I great fan, and great fan of Hulk Hogan especially. I really loved his demeanor, and Hulk Hogan is a legend in a business world. He essentially created WWE, which is amongst the most valuable TV franchise of all time. WWE just merged with the UFC for $10 billion, but money doesn't count. The cultural influence that the WWE has had for 40 years, it's just extraordinary. And Mr. Hulk Hogan can be credited for creating WWE with Mr. Vince McMahon, the founder, right? So it's just extraordinary what he accomplished. And one of the most important aspects of Mr. Hogan's life was the Gawker media lawsuit. So, how many of you know about the Gawker media lawsuit? Have you heard about the Gawker media lawsuit? Gawker and Mr. Hulk Hogan's lawsuit? You got to read about it. It's one of the most important, uh, uh, you know, uh, Mr. Tiwari says, if you have a brother, for sure you did WWE. Unfortunately, my big brother was actually much bigger and is still much bigger. So, didn't end well for me always. But yes, we did a lot of WWE. So, the thing is, now I do WWE with his daughter, with his 5-year-old daughter. I give her choke slams and stuff. So, it's a lot of fun. Moving. So, in Gawker lawsuit, what happened was that Gawker Media actually uh, published a sex tape of Mr. Hulk Hogan and his friend's former friend's best friend's wife. Now it was supposed to be a private moment because apparently these people had an engagement where this woman actually wanted to, have an intimate moment with Mr. Hogan, and the husband was in on it. So it was a very weird cuckold kind of a situation, but it was a private moment. And Gawker Media, it used to be a media house which used to publish these kind of scandals. They published this. So Mr. Hogan went to court and he talked about privacy, right? He sued Gawker Media for $100 million or something for saying that you've invaded privacy. Now those people, Gawker Media said that it's First Amendment, right? Free speech. And since Mr. Hulk Hogan is a public figure, he's a celebrity, his life is uh, basically public property, right? It comes under free speech. Now, they fought on the Fifth Amendment. Uh, these people, Gawker guys, fought on the First Amendment, just like, have you watched that movie called People versus Larry Flint? So, Larry Flint was the founder of Hustler magazine. He, First Amendment advocate. So, they fought on First Amendment. These guys fought on Fifth Amendment. And then Mr. Hulk Hogan won that case against Gawker. And when he won that case against Gawker, Gawker Media went bankrupt because they didn't have $100 million to pay, right? So they just effectively shut down. And then, you know what happened? Then it came out that Mr. Peter Thiel had funded that lawsuit for Mr. Hulk Hogan and defeated Gawker. But why? Because earlier, back in the 90s or early 2000s, 90s, Gawker had outed him as gay. So Gawker had published a story against Mr. Peter Thiel where they outed him as gay, and he is an open homosexual, but he didn't want it to be his identity. So apparently that caused him a lot of stress, and as a revenge, without anybody knowing, he funded Mr. Hogan's case against Gawker and bankrupted Gawker Media. And then he came out in the open that, hey, I was the one who funded Terry Bollea's case against Gawker because I don't think they need to exist. I hate them, and go screw yourself. So with that, Mr. Peter Thiel and Mr. Hulk Hogan became, a part of permanent legal history because nothing like this had ever happened. Nothing like this had ever happened. That a media house getting whipped off by an industrialist like Mr. Peter Thiel or anybody, and without knowing. So nobody knows what's happening. Suddenly, Hulk Hogan has all these lawyers and they have a beautiful case ready. Now, Hulk Hogan, Mr. Terry Bollea, was a rich man, multi-millionaire, right? But he couldn't have afforded that kind of a lawsuit, like $100 million lawsuit, right? So Mr. Peter Thiel said that even Terry Bollea, somebody like Terry Bollea, wouldn't have been able to fight Gawker, and that's what Gawker did. It bullied people who were strong but not as strong to give them a real fight. So here I am. I came to the picture, and I screw you upside down and in circles, and that was the story. So amazing story. I When I read that story, I was like, I said like, hats off to Hulk Hogan, of course, for whatever, and Mr. Peter Thiel. From that moment on, I became a big fan of Mr. Peter Thiel, right? And Mr. Hulk Hogan for shaping my childhood, for burning the candle at both ends, man, for struggling, for falling off like 30 feet ladders, breaking his back, all for entertainment, all the brother thing. Great memories, and I wish him a beautiful afterlife. Uh, you know, they don't believe in afterlife, right? Do they? But it was amazing. It was just brilliant. I loved it. The story, I had great respect for Mr. Hogan, and sad that he passed away. So, with that, we'll come to the 63rd episode, end of the 63rd episode of Thinker's Frequency, our daily mental workout, our daily dose of insights and analysis which don't lead to paralysis, right before we punch in. I wish you all a beautiful day, personally and professionally. I had a lovely time talking. Thank you, Mr. Tarun, Mr. Kumar, Mr. Tiwari, uh, Miss Bhatia, everybody. You made the day special, and I hope you have a beautiful day. I'll see you tomorrow, same place, same time, hopefully. Bye bye.